Madhava Vrinda Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachaari Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jai Radha Madhava Nanda Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Nanda Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Abhay Charanaravindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Shri Ganga Maya ki jai, Yamuna Maya ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Books Distribution ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Oh, glories to somebody devotees, oh, glories to somebody devotees, oh, glories to somebody devotees, oh, glories to lotus feet of Shishi, Guru and Gauranga. So, Hare Krishna. Just before beginning, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the devotees here, and also the devotees for giving me the opportunity to speak a little bit, especially for my own purification, because it's more to do with how to purify oneself, and being put on the spot sometimes make you realize where you actually really are in our spiritual lives. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 5, verse 25. Sava etasya samadrishtu. Sava etasya samdrishtu. Saeva etasya samdrishtu. Shakti sad asad atmika. Shakti sad asad atmika. Shakti sad asad atmika. Maya nama mahabhaga. Maya nama mahabhaga. Maya nama mahabhaga. Yedam nirmame vibhu. Yedam nirmame vibhu. Yedam nirmame vibhu. Saeva etyasya samdrishtu. Shakti sadasad atmika. Maya nama mahabhaga. Yedam nirmame vibhu. Etyasya samdrishtu. Sadatmika. Maya nama mahabhaga. Idam nirmame vibhu. Savayatasya samdrishtu. Sadatmika. Maya nama mahabhaga. Idam nirmame vibhu. Savayatasya samdrishtu. Shakti sada sadatmika. Maya nama mahabhaga. Yedam nirmame vibhu. Mataji. Tasya samdrishtu. Shakti sada sadatmika. Maya nama mahabhaga. Yedam nirmame vibhu. Sa, the external energy. Va is either. Tasya, of the Lord. Samdrishtu, of the perfect seer, Shakti, energy, Sat Asat Atmika, both the cause and the effect. Maya Nam, called by the name Maya. Mahabhaga, O fortunate one. Yea, by which idam, this material world, nirmame, constructed, vibhu, the mighty. Translation. The Lord is a seer, and the external energy which is seen works both cause and effect, in which cosmic manifestation, O greatly fortunate Vidura, this external energy is known as Maya, or illusion. And through her agency only, the entire material manifestation made possible. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This material nature, known as Maya, is both the material and the efficient cause of the cosmos. But in the background, the Lord is the consciousness for all activities. As the individual body, the consciousness is the source of all energies of the body. So the supreme consciousness of the Lord is the source of all energies in the material nature. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10 as follows. Maya dakshina prakriti sueta sa chara charam hetu nanina kuntiya jagat viparivartate. Throughout all the energies of the material nature, there is the hand of the Supreme Lord as the final superintendent. Due to this supreme cause only, the activities of the material nature appear planned, systematic, and all things regularly evolve. Om Jnanatimandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulamitam Yena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Itam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapto Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhayo Vaishnavebhayo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Dadisha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Seva etasya samdrishtu Shakti sad asad atmika Maya nama bhaga Edam nama nirmame vibhu. The Lord is a seer, and the external energy which is seen works as both the cause and the effect. In the cosmic manifestation, O greatly fortunate Vidura, this external energy is known as Maya, or illusion, and through her agency only is the entire material manifestation made possible. So, just a quick bit of recap from a couple of verses. Ramarupa Prabhu and Mataji yesterday. Ramarupa Prabhu spoke about the Chatushlokas, and Mataji spoke about the completeness of the Supreme Lord, how the Lord is absolutely complete, and how within the Prabhupada explains, just like the husband wakes up the wife in order to enjoy, and how this material energy is made to come together by the glance of the Lord. And these are some of the explanations given, but also just this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or these particular verses, 22 to 26, Maitreya Rishi starts replying to Vidura's inquiries. So we've heard quite a lot about Vidura, how prior to this chapter he's speaking to Uddhava, and then how Uddhava actually explains to Vidura that he has to, because he's junior, he has to move on. And there's a little explanation given in the Bhagavatam. I've heard this from other classes, that part of the other reason why Uddhava left was he left to go to the Badrikashram, because the devotees in the Badrikashram had been waiting for the Lord to come there. And the Lord had never been to Badrikashram, and Uddhava looks almost identical to Krishna. And also the qualities of Uddhava, as we know that, is related to Krishna. And thus, because the devotees had been very anxious to see the Lord in Badrikashram, that had been waiting for a long period of time, so Uddhava was instructed by the Lord to actually go there, to the Badrikashram. So that's one of the reasons why Uddhava left. And we see Maitreya Muni comes into the scene. And prior to this, there's been a lot of talk about the creation. And within this creation, how this creation has taken place by the glance, and it's impregnated through Durga. So when it's impregnated, it comes together, but we see that we also come into this material world. And it is explained that we come in one of the four forms of way into this material world. Either through perspiration, through a seed, through an egg, or through an embryo. These are the four primary causes of how we come into this world. In the Bhagavad Gita is also explained in the very beginning, is through the rain, the vegetation takes place. So for behind everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is actually taking charge of everything. Yet, he is completely aloof from it. Just like a big organization, a company is organized, but within the company, the owner of the company does things in the background. In the forefront, we see the managers, the micro workers, the cleaners. There's so many things that go on. So the same way in the material world, there are so many demigods are in charge of so many different things. So in this way, the Supreme Lord here this material nation known as Maya is both material and efficient cause of the cosmos. But in the background, the Lord is a consciousness of all activities. As in the individual body, the consciousness is the source of all energies of the body. So the supreme consciousness of the Lord is the source of all energies in the material nature. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So I thought I'll just read the purport to the 9:10 of the Bhagavad Gita as to get a little bit more clarification. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and inhalated again and again. It is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the supreme will and the background of this material manifestation. But the management is being conducted by material nature. Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita that all the living entities in different forms and species, I am the Father. The Father gives the seed to the womb of the mother for the child, and similarly the Supreme Lord, by his mere glances, injects all the living entities into the womb of the material nature. And they have come out in their different forms and species according to their last desire and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, take different bodies according to their past deeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attached to this material creation. He simply glances over the material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately. Because the glances over the material nature, there is undoubtedly activity of the Lord, the Supreme Lord. But he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. This example is given in the Smriti. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smell and the power are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains in a summary material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. Yet the Supreme Personality of Godhead is detached from all material activities. So we can see how the Supreme Lord creates, maintains, and inhalates this material creation again and again. When the time comes, there's a partial inhalation, there's a complete inhalation. All these things are taking place by the will of the Supreme Lord. And everything in this is related to time. When the time is over, this material creation will be finished. We also in this world come in. We've been given a particular number of breaths, a particular hours of time. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Antakale cha mameva, that time I am. And also within the introduction of the whole part of the topic of the Bhagavad Gita is one of the 5 topics is time, kal. But kal is not something that we can go and change. Chanakya Pandit actually gives an example that if you have the wealth of the entire creation, we cannot buy back a second of our times. So this time is very important, and it's something that we as devotees appreciate more than others. For others, time means enjoyment. Time means family time, social time, gathering times. But for the devotees, what is the gathering? Is association of the devotees. Getting together, reading, doing kirtan, bhajans. But this is the massive difference between the materialist understanding of the time and the understanding for the devotees. That it is said that by a fraction of the second of association of the devotee, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sarva shastraka, lobha matra, that a fraction of a second of association with a pure devotee can transform and change our life completely. All of us here, online, devotees everywhere, have come through someone's mercy. We see the mercy of the devotees that we are actually in connection with, but behind the scene, someone has done greater things. And that one personality is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is only due to His causeless mercy that somehow or the other, we say somehow or the other, but it is the mercy that has brought us into Krishna consciousness. So when we use our times, Srila Prabhupada has been so specific about time and how he has created the whole of the morning program in order to teach us how to use the value that we have of this human form of life. Prior to Prabhupada, I think there was probably Mangalatis going in other temples and everywhere, but there's nothing actually structured the way like Prabhupada is structured. Prabhupada is structured that we begin the day with Mangalati, Guru Ashtakam, and the first thing we do is offer praise to the spiritual master, because it's again, this is linked. Evam parampara praptam imam rajasha. This Krishna comes, so the spiritual master also comes to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. But there are also defects within this we have, which is one of the defects is forgetfulness. We tend to forget, especially when you start getting older, when you start getting to my age. But we can see there are so many wonderful examples, devotees who are so much dedicated, like Prayojana Prabhu. He's been here for 20 years plus, and ever since he's come, he's just been serving. He's got to such a state that it started affecting his health. But outside also everybody wants to work very hard, extremely hard. To do what? To accumulate. What is it that they want to accumulate? Is wealth. Through money it is said that one obtains power. Through power, one can either use it for a good cause or one can misuse it. But this creation is made in such a way that it is said that unless we come to the point of Athatha Brahma Jigyasa, unless we awaken ourselves, then there is very little chance that we will be stuck in the cycle of evolution. In this cycle of evolution, things have been going on since eternity. And things will go on. But we've been given this opportunity, especially in this age of Kali, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Aishwarya, or who is, who possesses all the 6 opulences, who is Bhagwan himself. But he came as a mendicant. If we try and explain this to someone who's a materialist, why God would want to come as a mendicant? It'd be an extremely difficult task. Maybe someone can shed some light why they would think, or how would you explain to somebody that if Krishna has come as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is said, Kali Kala Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. That Krishna has come in his form, his name, but he's also come as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How can we actually explain to somebody else in the material world that the Lord, even though he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has come as a mendicant, as a sannyas, as a renunciate. On the contrary of in the material world to gain power, one works very hard to get wealth. But here, the Lord is saying, actually, you renounce all these things. Any light from anyone? How would we explain? David Prabhu?
So we have no excuse that if the Supreme Lord can do this, then we should be able to do this in terms of renounce.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Lord Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita. So in the beginning, it was good time, at the age of starting of Kali Yuga. But after some time, people finding it difficult to leave Bhagavad Gita, to follow the instruction of Krishna, and people started diverting from the path of the spirituality. So then Mahaprabhu came and he lived Bhagavad Gita. He showed the message, the purpose, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And another thing about money and wasting so much time after that behind the money, the thing is it's just part of our life. But people they can't live Bhagavad Gita. They don't know the message of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why they didn't get the purpose and they diverted to the money. And yeah, of course, Maya is there. So that's why people just diverted from Bhagavad Gita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he lived Bhagavad Gita, and this is why we can, I think, explain. I don't know, it's true.
Anyone else?
There's a quote by Bhaktivedanta Thakur on this verse, Sarva Dharma Parikyaja, 1866. And someone asked the question that, what does Krishna mean when he says surrender to me fully and I was free from all sinful reactions?
Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Sitaram Lakshmanan Man ki jai, Shri Gaunitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So he's explaining that when Krishna said that, how many can surrender like that, give up everything? And so it's very difficult for people in today's society to do that. But then he says, Lord Chaitanya resolved that contradiction by showing the way of chanting Hare Krishna. So if someone chants the holy name, then that surrender will come. So obviously there's a science behind it, but if someone does chant Hare Krishna, then that surrender will come in time.
Thank you. Vishal Prabhu.
I was thinking for many Hindus may also not believe in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as incarnation, so we can show many references from the Shastras which shows that scheduled incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Many verses.
Karna Prabhu.
So I was just thinking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a mendicant in terms of material wealth, but he demonstrated what real wealth is of love of Krishna, so in that way he was actually very wealthy.
Paritranaya sadhana, vinashaya sadhusritam. Established all those three. And what seems impossible to reach prema, to love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made that possible and distributed the holy names of the Lord throughout and made the prophecy that it should be spread in all towns and villages. But it'll be still, even if you say so many of these things that we've said, it's still difficult for them to accept. Only by the grace of Krishna, and the devotees, then it becomes possible. But difficult. Hare Krishna.
Okay. We can see the real reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came is due to the suffering of the living entities. And also, as everyone said, that the chanting of the holy name. But there's, it really doesn't matter how much wealth you have in this world, but if you're not loved, if you're not loved, what is that value of? What do people do when they're not loved? They go on the path of drugs, womenizing, drinking, which really takes them away, even further away. But ultimately, the end solution is through love. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give the love of Godhead, which no other incarnations in this age has ever given. As Prabhuji said, Sarva Dharma Parityajam Mam Ekam Sharam. But Krishna is saying what? You surrender everything. Now, for most people to surrender, even, to surrendering to the holy name is difficult. So how much more difficult is it to give up all the material possessions that we have in this material world and to say, I'm giving up everything. For how long can we give up unless we have a higher taste? Prabhupada gives it, it makes it very simple. He said, just simply chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us the holy name. It is so simple, it's so sublime that, it can give us love of Godhead, which is the most rarest of all the gifts that there are. It's an extremely, extremely rare gift to have the love of Godhead, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead reciprocates. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what does he come to give? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Where do all these things reside? All these anathas, where does it reside? It resides in our heart. So unless our heart is cleansed, Prabhupada gives the example of the mirror. When there's dust on the mirror, unless you wipe the mirror, you can't see clearly. Just like the embryo is covered by the womb. There are so many examples like this given, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that, and to show his magnanimity, Srila Rupa Goswami, what verse does he explain? Namo Mahavadanyaya. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishna Chaitanya. That is so merciful. His mercy is unlimited, is unbound. Even if we take up to the chanting, even if we're creating offenses, to eradicate these offenses, the remedy is more chanting. This is a Yuga Dharma. For this particular age of Kali, chanting of the holy name, we can get into a whole, especially this third canto, fifth canto are very technicals. There are very technical things in there about the creation, the distance of each planet, and especially in the fifth canto. It's so complex for someone simple like me. I have no understanding. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, even someone who is a fool like me, has been given this opportunity. Even while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here, Jaga and Madai are the examples Prabhupada gives so many times. The most fallen, but still given this opportunity. Samaham sarva bhuteshu. Krishna is giving everyone equal opportunities. But who's there for the taking? Who wants to actually come out of this birth, death, old age and disease? It is, we've been through so many cycles. Still, we want to find out more knowledge. But unless we actually take up to this path of bhakti, all the other things will be simply just waste of time. Simply waste of time. But within this creation, there's one story, as we heard yesterday, how the Lord is complete and everything that He creates is complete. So there's this one person, it's in a storybook by the name of Ramu. The book is called The Perfect Creator. The Lord's perfect creation. The Lord, everything He's created, everything He does, everything is perfect in His creation. Nothing is imperfect. So this person, Ramu, this goes back to many ages. So he's traveling by foot to visit his uncle, who wasn't well. So he started off early in the morning. And as the day progressed, he'd been traveling for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Then, when you're walking for about 4 or 5 hours, you tend to get a little tired. So he decided to take some rest. So he saw this great big acorn tree. He decided to sit down underneath the acorn tree. And while he was sitting there, he was taking his lunch. He looked up. He looked up at the tree and he saw the size of the acorn tree. Then he saw the acorn seed, how small it is. So within himself, he said, "Oh, my Lord is the perfect creator, but how is it possible that He's grown such a big tree? I'm sure the seed of this should be very big." So while contemplating like this, he fell asleep. And then, a breeze of wind came, and a lot of acorns fell on his head. So when the seeds fell on his head, he woke up startled, and he started apologizing. "Oh, my Lord, what a mistake I made to doubt you. Had the seeds had been so big," so he was thinking if he was like a melon or some big fruit or something, what would have happened to him? So he started apologizing. "Oh, my Lord, your creation is perfect. It is me who is imperfect. That's why I was thinking how in this creation, how everything is actually perfect." So like this, our thoughts are a little bit like Ramu's. We see certain things and we think, "Oh, my Lord, how is this possible? I'm sure there must be some kind of mistake in this." Because it's in our nature to find mistakes of others, even to find a mistake in God. Because we see as ourselves that something is happening to me, aham. It's the only reason. Otherwise, the Lord's creation is perfect. Everything in the Lord's creation is complete. There's nothing that we need to add. There's nothing that we need to subtract. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come in his form. Lord Radha and Krishna has come together, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to give us the love of Godhead. It is just as simple as this, as Prabhupada says, just simply chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But our human nature takes us away. But if we're in association of the devotees, and Prabhupada created this whole International Society of Krishna Consciousness, is so that we can actually be delivered from this birth, death, old age and disease. So the Lord is complete, but it is us who needs to change. It's us who need to realize, who we really are. And that we can only do by reading the Bhagavatam, by taking association with the devotees. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful. It is due to his mercy that we can actually become happy. And to get a taste of the holy name means, the more we try and chant, the more we'll eventually try to acquire the taste. So our humble request is, really, it is only due to the causeless compassionate mercy of Srila Prabhupada, at such an age, at the age of 69, he came out to give the mercy to the fallen conditioned souls. And we're the recipients. We are eternally indebted to Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara. Eternally indebted. There is nothing that in this world we have can repay our debt to our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. There is nothing in this world. If Chanakya Pandit, who is a great politician, is giving the example, all the wealth of the world, everything, you can't buy by a fraction of time. That's why within our movement, the day begins with Guru Ashtakam. Guru Ashtakam is to the spiritual master. Then we have Guru Puja, again is to the Guru. It is only through the mercy can only come through the Vaishnavas. So it's our great fortune that Srila Prabhupada has given us this opportunity, and that we take full advantage of this. Hare Krishna, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments or corrections?
Thank you. Humble obeisances. I was wondering what was meant by Krishna's glance. So by his glance he creates everything. Is that a glance as we see a glance? Or is it kind of a different glance? I was wondering what that meant.
Far as my understanding is, yes, it's just like the way we glance. When we glance for something, nothing gets created. Nothing happens. All we do is the object and the senses. That's how we perceive it, through our sense and the sense objects. But the Lord is transcendental. He can perform any activities through any form of his body. Just like when we make an offering to the Lord, the Lord can eat through his eyes, he can eat through his ears, but when we eat, there's only one place that we can eat from because we're so limited. But that's my understanding. If anyone else wants to...
Hi Krishna Prabhu. So at the start of the class you mentioned the different ways this living entities enter material manifestation, one of which was, I think you said precipitation, right? Rain. But how does, would you be able to explain how that process works?
I said there are four ways the living entity comes into being. One is perspiration.
Okay.
Through sweat and, bacteria are created even within our own skin. There are bacteria that are created, we have disease that come up from scratching and scratching. And then the other one I said was the seed. What I mentioned from the Bhagavad Gita was that it's explained in the Bhagavad Gita, all living creatures are being created by the rain. By the fall of the rain, the vegetation happens. And from that, all of the living bacteria, insects, mammal, as you go, each one is very subtle. The subtlety of it, and then from there, we evolve into different forms. according to our desire or the natural evolution. Paramakaruna Prabhu, you like to add anything to it? I think
Srila Prabhupada comments, just like Lakshmi Devi was with Narayan, but it wasn't like Lord Narayan, just from his glands, Brahma was born, from his navel, right? It just came out. It wasn't he had to take help from Lakshmi Devi.
no.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So in the same way, Krishna doesn't, even the 16,000 wives Krishna had, he just by his glance the children came. It wasn't like normal interaction like we have to have. So Krishna is omnipotent like that. He can do anything with any of his senses.
I think Prayojan Prabhu wanted to.
It occurs to me in Bhagavad Gita is verse 1861. It says, "The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of the material energy." So he says to him in the next verse, "Surrender unto him utterly, and he will..." Hold on. It says, "O sign abhorrent, surrender unto him. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace to the supreme abode." So he's controlling, but ultimately you can be understanding that if we do this surrender, and we surrender under, or the conclusion is that if we surrender unto him utterly, we'll go back to Godhead. We'll go to back to that place of where we're born.
Thank you. Jai Shri Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.